Most importantly tonight, I want to thank my colleague to my right, Lee Hamilton. I was elected to Congress in 1978, and when I was elected by 14 votes initially, which in South Dakota is about 60%. But one of the best pieces of advice I was given was to seek out Lee Hamilton. Lee already at that point, 1978, was serving in his 8th term in Congress. And he was known as the resident authority in our caucus and in the Congress with regard to foreign policy. He has had a wide range of responsibilities in Congress, but I think he's best known for the extraordinary leadership he has provided in Congress and now as director of the Woodrow Wilson Center. Lee and I have not only worked together, but 4 years ago I sought him out again as we ended a very bitterly fought debate on the Senate and House floor with regard to the creation of the 9/11 Commission. I asked Lee if he would be willing to be one of the co-chairs of this commission, and with very little hesitation, he agreed once again to come to the aid of his country. And I vividly remember the conversation we had in my office shortly after that phone call. We talked about the families in particular and the extraordinary emotional problems that they expressed about the experience and about the direction our country was taking. And I indicated to Lee that it was my view that the families would be one of the significant arbiters of credibility as the 9/11 Commission's work was analyzed and evaluated. And it was a suggestion on the part of many in our caucus that we reach out to the families. And I asked Lee if he would do that, and he agreed to do exactly that. But then on his own, he said, not only will I do that, but he said, I've served on other commissions, and I know how easy it is for all the recommendations just to sit up on a shelf and gather dust and never really go anywhere. He said, not only is it important to come up with recommendations, but hopefully it's just as important to enact them. Well, Lee Hamilton kept his promise. I would say both promises. He reached out from the very beginning to the families and made meeting the families a very high priority, working and talking with them throughout the process. But even more importantly, perhaps, in terms of our country's long-term disposition, Lee made sure that the recommendations got their fair review in Congress. And I'm proud to say 2 years ago, we passed one of the most sweeping changes in national security law that our country has passed in its history, but certainly since 1948. Not all the recommendations were enacted. We'll talk a little bit about that tonight. But were it not for the extraordinary leadership of this man, we wouldn't be where we are today. Since that time, of course, he's made a lot of news in other areas as well. The President and the Congress asked if he would be again willing to subject himself to yet another commission and help lead the so-called Baker-Hamilton Commission on Iran to evaluate our circumstances and come up with recommendations for our country with regard to what we do in that very troubled part of the world. Unfortunately, that work is still not complete. And because he and I have talked about doing this evening's program for many months, we're going to limit our conversation tonight on the 9/11 report and on Homeland Security and not discuss Iran because we simply aren't in a position to do so. With any luck, I'm going to persuade him to come back to have a conversation like that as well. So I would ask you to limit your questions to Homeland Security and the 9/11 Commission, and we'll come back to Iran at a later date when he's in a much better position to talk about it. But the 9/11 report is really a fantastic case study for anyone interested in considering public policy. They really address some of the fundamental questions we face as we formulate public policy, regardless of the topic. How well is our government working? How can we make it work better? What are the kinds of consensus issues required to accommodate those goals? What can we do in the context of Homeland Security in particular, to see that we are better prepared for crises as we face on 9/11 of 2001. Obviously, we now know that we weren't as well prepared as we should have been prior to 9/11. Local authorities didn't have all of the information they could have used to be able to cope more effectively. They didn't have the equipment. Intelligence agencies were not communicating effectively among and between themselves. And we didn't follow through with suspected terrorists and their activities within the United States. Those and many other issues are ones that obviously the 9/11 Commission grappled with a great deal as they assessed the circumstances and came up with their recommendations. We have now passed the Department of Homeland Security. We now have the good fortune of having the benefit of the tremendous work done by the 9/11 Commission. And I know I speak for everyone in this room, and I speak for all of those who are who have expressed concern about the circumstances as we now face them regarding our threats abroad and here at home. As we thank Lee Hamilton for his dedication to his country in Congress, as he has played the many roles that he has with the commissions since then. I may have I don't know if I said Iraq before, but I hope I said that obviously the Baker-Hamilton Commission is doing its work on Iraq, and we will hear about that at a later date. With that, let me again welcome my colleague, my friend, Lee Hamilton. I am delighted he's here for any opening comments that he might have, and then we'll open it up to you for discussion.
Well, thank you. Speaking to this, thank you very much, Tom Daschle. I remember that phone call. Tom was then the majority leader in the Senate, and he asked me to serve as co-chairman of the 9/11 Commission. Tom, what I especially remember about it is I put the phone down after I'd talked to you, and I said to myself, what in the world do I do next? When you're in the Congress, you have a lot of support staff all over the place, and all you got to do is call in your chief of staff and tell them to go to work. That's pretty easy. When you're not in the Congress, I literally did not know what to do, to rent an office, to hire people, to get a phone connected, to find a room where we could discuss top secret matters and all the rest. Tom's staff was a huge help to us in getting started on 9/11. One of these days, I'm going to get around to setting up a public official Hall of Fame. We have them for baseball players and guitar players. We ought to have them for public officials. And Tom Daschle is going to go into that Hall of Fame on the very first ballot. I can assure you of that, because he is a remarkable leader. One of the joys of politics is as you develop seniority, you see new people come into the Congress. Tom was one of many, but he was certainly one of the outstanding ones, who had natural ability. With that overwhelming vote you achieved in South Dakota, 14-vote margin or whatever, but to see him progress through the House, through the Senate to majority leader was a great joy for me. And of course, he served with extraordinary distinction there. Let me say a word or two about Homeland Security to get us started here. We made 41 recommendations in the 9/11 Commission report.